Hi all, let's talk about Azure AI Fundamental Exam, which is AI 900. We're going to talk about the exam and then resources for preparation, then preparation plan with timeline, just to give you an idea that what to prepare and how long it takes. And then we are going to talk about exam cram, which is the details of things which you would need to remember if you are planning to clear this exam. Let's get started. So about the exam, this exam is intended for any technical or non-technical person who is interested to learn AI. Data science, software engineering experiences are not required. General programming knowledge helps in this exam, but it's again not needed. And this exam helps people who are planning to do Azure Data Scientist Associate or AI Engineering Associate. But again, this is not a prerequisite because this is a fundamental exam. So these are the skills which are measured by this exam. It's basically AI, about machine learning, computer vision, natural language processing, and conversational AI. We'll go through all of these in detail and how to prepare for these and what to remember for the exam. So about questions, I got 51 questions to be done in 60 minutes. I was thinking about the time, but actually the question was not generally lengthy. I mean, if they were to the point questions, not a lot of reading, and if you know the topic, it won't take much time. It will be quick. And the question types were like multiple choice questions, and then a drop down to complete sentences. Like in the sentence at one word, they will have drop down. So you pick the right option. Match combinations, and there are like true false type of questions. So there are no labs in the exam. About cost, the exam itself costs $99 in general. There is an option for free training and free certification voucher. So I took benefit of that. I'll provide a link in the description so you can check it out, and that way you can get free training and certification voucher from Microsoft. About resources for the exam. So the main resources for the preparation is Microsoft official learning website. I'll take you there and show you what to do there. And then we will talk about the other resources. So you go to this website about the exam. Here it talks about all the details in the exam. The exam was last updated on Jan 27th, 2021. Yeah, so here if you scroll down, it talks about the skill measure, and then it talks about the online free learning path. So you will see there are like 4 or to 5 learning paths, and you would need to do all of these, and these are pretty much aligned to the skill measured in the exam, and it covers a good amount of details. So you can just get started, click anywhere, and most of these will be text based. Some small videos are there which you can go through and get ready for the exam, right? So for example, so it talks about what is AI with some examples, and so the expectation is you go through all of these Microsoft exam, then you don't need any other course because what I saw, all the exam topics and skills were covered in this. So that was Microsoft official learning website, and I will put link for the same in the description. And then also we need to see what to learn and what to cram, because there are a lot of different kind of services and what they provide versus not, and the capabilities, a lot of things which we need to remember for the exam, and I'm going to cover those in details in this session. And about practice tests, I mean, what I felt, it was not mandatory to do practice tests. If we cover what is there in the Microsoft Learn, as well as we try to remember what to be remembered, then the practice test might not be needed. It's optional, I would say, but there are sites like Udemy, WizLabs, whichever you are comfortable, you can try one or two tests there to see if you want to feel confident about that you are prepared. And about practicals and labs, it is not needed. In the Microsoft learning material, you will see like there are options to do some labs. So for the exam, since there are no labs, it is not needed, but you can do it. Like I myself tried training one model, machine learning model, and Q&A in conversational AI, I tried creating a bot. So that gives extra knowledge and confidence. So you can try a couple of those if you are interested. Talking about preparation and timeline. So this is how I divided the task and the timeline, what it takes to prepare. It can vary a little bit here and there, but this is just to give you a general idea. So as I mentioned, main preparation and high level understanding, it's a Microsoft Learn recommended for this exam, which can take 5 to 6 hours. And then practice test, which I mentioned is optional. 2 practice tests can take around 2 hours. And after that, if you revise the content for things to remember, you may need to cram a few items for the exam. So that is going to take another 1 hour. Then lab practice on the Azure portal. As I was saying, it's an optional, but you can build and run one machine learning model. You can build a chatbot, or you can try a couple of other things which interest you. So you can spend 1 hour around for that. And the exam itself, which is exam registration, check-in and all, around 2 hours. So if you see total, it's gonna take 9 to 12 hours, where I have mentioned 3 hours as optional. So it's like if you divide it into 2 weeks, and I think around 3 weeks should be good enough, based upon if you can spend 3-4 hours per week based upon your schedule. So 2 to 3 weeks of time should be good enough for this exam. So let's get into a little bit more details on the topics and the things which we should learn and the things which we should cram. If you have not gone through Microsoft Learn site yet, so this may feel a little bit difficult to you, but once you have gone through the Microsoft training once or Microsoft Learn material once, this should be easy. But here I'm gonna just summarize what is needed to be remembered. So 6 principle of responsive AI. Microsoft is making this very important for AI, and the same you can see it will be tested in the exam. There are 3 inclusive design principles. So you need to remember these principles, and then there will be like scenarios where you can say, okay, if the fairness principle is not applied, or if the transparency principle is not applied. So those scenarios also you need to understand. So artificial intelligence key elements, these are the 5 key elements: machine learning, anomaly detection, computer vision, natural language processing, conversation AI. So you got to remember all these 5, because there might be questions, okay, is this a key element in artificial intelligence or not? So Azure Machine Learning Services, they have these 4 features: automated machine learning, Azure Machine Learning Designer, data and compute management, pipeline. So you got to remember this by heart, because there could be some questions asking that, okay, is pipeline a part of Azure Machine Learning Service versus something else? So you got to know that these are the 4 machine learning services. In automated machine learning, most of the work is done without any configuration or coding. You need to know, okay, it is only for supervised training models, which are classification, regression, and time series forecasting. And also, like, since it uses multiple models, so it explains best selected model. So for the same set of data, it can try multiple models to see what fits better, but it explains you what is the best selected model. So that is important to know. So how it explains and what is the benefit of that explanation. And also you have an option to blocking some algorithm. You can say, hey, don't run everything, but I want to block some of the algorithm. So that gives you control which algorithms you want to block. And you can also set exit criteria based upon training job time or metric score threshold. You can say, okay, I want to train it for 30 minutes. So that after that it will automatically exit. And also you can say, okay, if you meet this threshold, then you exit the automated machine learning. Now evaluate models. So once the models are run, whether it's a regression or classification or clustering, evaluation is important from exam point of view. So there are like evaluation method which varies. Like for regression, you check mean absolute error, or you check root mean squared error, relative squared error, relative absolute error, or coefficient of determination, which is R2. So there are going to be questions around that. What is the right method in regression? What do you use? One tip to remember is that most of these metrics will have R in it. So I have highlighted R with the orange color. So mean absolute error is the average difference between predicted value and true value, and all other will have R in this. So that is one tip to remember what are the metrics for regression. Now this classification is another type of machine learning. So here also this is very important. It's called confusion metrics, where we talk about, okay, what is the prediction value, negative, positive, and what is the actual value. So then you need to understand what is true positive and true negative. True positive is that we predicted it positive, and in reality that value is positive. So that means our predicted model is right. So it is called true positive. And then here we have different metrics to measure: accuracy, precision, which is I have given the formula also, and recall. So this we need to remember and need to understand that what is accuracy means. Accuracy is how accurate the model is, which is true positive plus true negative divided by sum of everything else. Same way precision is true positive divided by true positive plus false positive. So these are the formulas we need to remember, and these metrics also we need to remember. And F1 score is the overall metrics. It's a kind of combination of precision and recall. And there is another metrics also, which is AUC. It's called area under the cover. So it's mainly for binary classification, where 0.5 indicates the result is random and the 1 indicates that it's the best fit. So that is another thing which could be tested. Same way for clustering, we have evaluation done through using another set of metrics. So clustering is more about putting data into different clusters. So it is more talk about points and distance, right? Average distance to another center, average distance to cluster center, number of points assigned to the clusters, and maximum distance to cluster center, and a combined evaluation. So this, a key to remember is it talks about more about distance and points. So there could be question asking like, is this average distance to cluster center is an evaluation metrics for clustering? Make sure you remember all this. There is Azure Machine Learner Designer, where you can design a machine learning model as well as you can run it, test it and all. You will see that detail in Microsoft Learn material once you go through that. But here the things which we need to remember is, what does it take to deploy a machine learning model with the designer? So like these are the steps, and this has to be followed in the same order. So create a real-time inference pipeline, create an inferencing cluster, deploy the real-time endpoint, test the real-time endpoint. And what languages can be used in machine learning designer is like Python and R. With this, we are done with the machine learning. Let's get to the next one, anomaly detection. So anomaly detection, I mean, this is a newer topic, not heavily kind of tested, but again, we need to know basics of that it provides an API that developer can use to create anomaly detection solutions. Through this API, we ingest time-sensitive data, and it selects the best fitting detection model for the data to give you a high accuracy result. It's a customizable to detect any level of anomaly, and you can mention it, what level of what is your definition of anomaly. And also you can deploy this either on cloud or on intelligent edge with containers. So I think that is these are the key things which we should know. With this, we are done with anomaly detection. Let's get to the next one, which is computer vision. Computer vision is pretty important, and there are a lot of things in this. So I try to structure it in a way so that you remember what falls under what, all the services and options. You will see that there are a lot of different things which, to put it together in one picture, it's difficult. So I tried those in upcoming slides. But here it is just talking what is computer vision solution in general, irrespective of Azure. So you got to know that computer vision is used for image classification, object detection, semantic segmentation, image analysis, face detection, analysis recognition, and OCR. So after this, we'll get into details of how it is done in Azure. So these are the 4 main services for computer vision in Azure, and we are gonna get into details of each, but we'll keep the structure in this way so that we don't lose track. So computer vision itself is a service which is used to analyze image and video and extract description, tags, objects, and text from that. Whereas custom vision is to train custom image classification. Like you can give your predefined images and do the classification in custom vision. Whereas computer vision is generic service already available, which any image you feed it and it will get you the details. So for face detection and all, they have a special service called Face. It enables you to build face detection and facial recognition solutions. And there is another service called Form Recognizer. It's specially to extract information from scanned forms and invoices. So let's see a little bit more details which we need to remember for each of these. So in computer vision, you need to know what are the key capabilities. Like it can interpret an image and suggest a caption. It can suggest relevant tags that could be used to index an image, categorize an image, identify objects in an image, detect face and people in an image, recognize celebrity and landmarks in an image. So all these capabilities, we need to have an idea that these are provided by computer vision. And also it can read text in the image. There are 2 different ways. One is OCR, where it recognizes text shapes as letter, numeric punctuation, etc., like smaller unit at a time. And there is MCR. It not only read text character, but it uses semantic grammatical models to interpret the text is about. So it is a little bit more advanced. And again, in computer vision, there are 2 APIs, OCR API and read API. OCR is for small amount of text in image. It works synchronously and it returns the information which is region, line and words, and each of these returned with the box around it, so you know the location also there. But if you need to read a lot of text, then another API is there, read API. It works asynchronously. You submit it, it gives you a request ID and then it processes it. Info return, it returns line and word same as OCR, but instead of regions, it returns information about pages of text. As I said, it has a lot of text. This OCR API and read API are important to know, and you know these key differences between them. Now moving on, custom vision. So custom vision is an image recognition service that let you use your own images for identifications. So it has 2 features. It does image classification and it does object identification, which is similar, but it returns the coordinate that where the object is found. So the model evaluation metrics for custom vision is precision recall and average precision. These are the key elements which are used for the custom vision model evaluation. Now face. So face, what functionality face service support, that also we need to know. Face detection, face verification, find similar faces, group and identify people. And face detection has some specific attributes. I have just listed a couple, that what kind of emotion it can detect. Like it can detect happiness, sadness, neutral, anger, contempt, disgust. So you got to have an idea on that. And can it detect makeup? It has attribute for eye makeup and lip makeup. So this also you need to remember. And then there are some more details like how to get the most accurate results. So these are the things which you should know. Some of the key things are like these are the supported formats. The image height should not be greater than 6 MB, and there are like the lighting and all details are there. You can go through this and make sure you have an idea before the exam. Then there is next one is form recognizer. So it support 2 model, pre-built receipt model which is out of box and trained to recognize and extract data from sales receipt. And you can also use a custom model, and in this you can extract different information in terms of key value pairs. So for best result, again here there are some formats which we should know. The file size must be less than 50 MB. The image size should be in this range. PDF document should be in this size. So these are the key items which you should remember for the exam. And what kind of information it can extract from the receipt is like time of transaction, date of transaction, merchant information, and you should have an idea on this. There could be questions related to that. With this, we have completed computer vision. Let's get to the next one, natural language processing. Here we have 4 services: text analytics, translator text, speech, and LUIS. So we'll go through all in detail and see what are the things to remember. In text analytics, it used to analyze text document and extract key phrases and other things which we'll cover in detail. Translator is more for translation between the text. It is for more than 60 languages. Speech is for to recognize and synthesize speech and to translate spoken languages. LUIS is more on the train a language model that can understand spoken or text-based commands. Now, text analytics, we need to remember what are its capabilities. It can determine the language of a document. It can perform sentiment analysis to determine if a positive or negative sentiment. For example, on a Facebook there is a comment. Is this a positive or negative? A review for a hotel, is that a positive or negative? So those are the places where it can be used. Extract key phrases, the text that might indicate its main talking point. So difference here to remember is extract key phrases will extract everything which kind of repeats, whether it's relevant or not, but it will pick that because it repeats multiple times. Identity and categorize entities in the text. So here it is talking about more about entities, which could be people, place, organization, or even everyday items such as date, time, quantity, etc. So these 4 capabilities we got to remember, which are provided by text analytics. Now, translator text, it provides 2 types of translation: literal translation and semantic translation. Literal is again word-wise word, one word at a time, but semantic translation is more phrase-wise translation. It understands more grammar rules and it provides you better result, but it can take some time. But if the speed is important, then word by word literal translation is used. So in translation, what features are there? The text-to-text translation between more than 60 languages is possible. And one other important thing to remember is one to multiple language translation can happen simultaneously. So you can have just one text translator and it can convert one text into 60 languages simultaneously. And there are some optional configurations it provides. One is profanity filtration, where you can put some filter based upon the culture in the language. And there is selective translation, where you can tell what not to translate. For example, there is a company name. We don't want to translate the company name itself, so you can tell that. So these are the things which we got to remember under translator text. So speech service has 2 capabilities: speech recognition, which is nothing but speech to text conversion, and speech synthesis, which is text to speech conversion. And to do this, it provides 3 APIs: speech to text, text to speech, and there is another one which is speech translation. It translates speech in one language to text or directly to speech in another language. So this we need to remember, what kind of APIs it is there, what kind of capabilities are there. So LUIS, Language Understanding Intelligence Surveys. There are 3 core concepts: utterance, entity, and intents. And it has a language intelligence itself is a resource, which can be either an authoring or prediction resource. So authoring is nothing but when we provide the details to train it, we provide details about the utterance, entities, and intents. That process is called authoring. And prediction is when we use it to predict the value. And there are 4 types of entities which can be used during authoring, which is machine learned, list, regular expression, and pattern.any. So you can get through these details and make sure you remember all these 4 entity types. You remember that a language understanding resource can either be authoring or prediction resource, so that in case you need to use both, you will need 2 resources. And these are the 3 core concepts about LUIS. So we are done with natural language processing. Let's get to the final key element, which is conversational AI. Conversation AI, here we have 3 services. One is Q&A Maker. It can quickly build a knowledge base for question and answers, which can be used for like a chat bot or different kind of conversation interfaces. One thing to remember here is it cannot be multi-language. And then there is a Azure bot service. This service provides a platform for creating, publishing, and managing bot. So if you see, Q&A Maker is more about a knowledge base for the bot, and the bot itself will reside in Azure bot service. If it is a pretty simple FAQ kind of Q&A, then you can be good with just Q&A Maker and Azure bot service. But for more complex bot, more custom bot, we have a bot framework, Azure bot framework. For example, we want to build a personal assistant and all, so there we can use Azure bot framework. So all 3 features are there for conversational artificial intelligence. So with this, we are done with our final section, conversational AI. Hope you like the video, and this will help you to remember the important things for the exam. Thanks for watching. Hope this will help you to clear your exam. Good luck.